Hi guys, my name is Sita. Welcome back to my channel. I make videos about housemanship in Malaysia. In my last video, I talked about burnout and some strategies to overcome that based on my own feelings of burnout after having heard about the houseman that had jumped off his residential building and killed himself or herself. Anyway, and it was quite a shock for me given the casual tone with which we were speaking about it in the hospital. Anyway, in today's video, as you can see, I've come home from work about 2 hours ago, and I realized that I'm a little bit dejected that I haven't been filming consistently, but that is a little bit of a reflection of how intense the department is. I mean, internal medicine, if you don't know. And I have exactly 2 more PM shifts in an acute cubicle. And for the person that doesn't know houseman lingo, what that means is PM shifts is I work from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., but I always come in earlier, obviously. And if you have a PM shift, you should finish by 9. It shouldn't be any reason unless someone super unstable gets wheeled in at the exact moment you start walking out, and you would be surprised how many times that actually happens. So an acute cubicle means that your ward basically is broken into 3 to 4 different sections. Acute basically means you need the most attention, you have the most stuff going on with you, and they tend to be really simple cases, but you need to have constant monitoring. So we have 6 of those patients plus rooms, which are 7 more patients in these rooms segmented in front. Then you have subacute, which is where I was working today. You have 12 patients they're not exactly immediately dying, but they're not exactly able to be ignored, which is where the back cube is. So you have 7 to 7 or 14 to 16 patients in the back cube. Really, it's just hemodialysis support, uncontrolled diabetes, or stuff that doesn't really require us to pay them that much attention, but obviously still requires hospitalization. So having 2 PM shifts in a row in acute is just I'm going to have to sleep early tonight. So there's that to look forward to. And after that 2 shifts, I'm essentially off for 8 days, and I will be on vacation to celebrate the end of my second posting, which is just surreal. I mean, I had this when I finished surgical as well, but it is really quite remarkable how fast time flies. So what do I want to reflect on really, besides where I am right now, is a medical student who's doing his attachment asked me today when I met him, so do you find yourself hating housemanship? Do you find yourself just really not looking forward to coming to work? And then I said, surprisingly, no. I think I'm at a point where I can acknowledge that you have insane hours and you're kind of always tired and there's no life left in my skin, but you start to enjoy it because you start to develop a certain level of competence, which is a natural progression of going through housemanship. You become more experienced with everything that you do, with blood taking, with setting lines, with requesting scans, with discharging patients, all of it. When you've just done it so many times, which after 8 months it's quite considerable, you don't really dread going into work as much because you know that whatever happens you can sort of handle it. And the anxiety that you have, it's a different kind of anxiety. It's what if I genuinely cause harm because I don't know something that I should know? I don't know how to explain it, but it's a different kind of anxiety because you kind of know, at least if someone has chest pain or shortness of breath, what sort of things you have to do. Your fear is more what if all of those things aren't enough and something really bad happens to the patient, versus in your early days where it's I just have no idea what I'm supposed to do, and I can't be flipping through a textbook at the moment a patient is acutely dying in front of me. So that took me a little bit by surprise, realizing that I am starting to enjoy myself a little bit, and partly after 6 months of housemanship, when I celebrated that I was a quarter way through, yes, I like to celebrate everything, I bought myself a sofa, as you can see, which is sort of a mark of I think I'm ready to settle into this life a little bit and not resist it as much as I used to. And I've started making friends at work, and I've been hanging out with them, and it makes your working environment so much more different when you enjoy the people that you're working with, because things go a lot more smoothly, you know, and you start to realize that this is like this kind of like a big happy family working for the betterment of each of your patients. And you see yourself not so much as a cog in a machine, but you see other cogs in the machine and sort of see everything functioning in a way that's got a very tangible outcome, which is the betterment of your patient. So that's nice. The other thing that I feel like I want to really remember is that I am reconnecting with why I'm doing housemanship. I tend to always forget that, and that's what like plummets me and have this like really depressed state of mind. And it's the realization that I consciously chose to do housemanship because it's bringing me closer to what I believe my purpose is, which is telling stories. I enjoy connecting with my patients, you know, under the right circumstances, when you have time and you get to know them and like really like talk with them about what's wrong with their health. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy having conversations with my supervisors and my friends. I enjoy interacting with people. It can be taxing, of course, but it's ultimately it's quite rewarding because I find it quite joyful. Like I like talking to people. And then I realized that the beginnings of housemanship, or like the new department, it's like it takes such a toll on you that you just forget your why, you know, like why am I doing this? And everyone has different whys. I feel privileged that I chose to do this, you know, like nobody forced me to do this. I had my time off after medical school. I dabbled with freelance writing, and I realized that that can be a very lucrative career, but at some point you're like, but how much more of other people's story or articles about plant milk and coffee can I really write about? I want to write about something that I will be able to have an opinion on, and that comes from experience. So it's sort of a bit funny, like profound / humbling to realize, like after I just filmed a video about the tragedy that is people killing themselves because they're so overworked and burnt out, but there's also this sort of like inward looking introspection, like why am I actually doing this? How do I hold myself accountable to the way that I'm spending my time and living my life? And you have to be accountable for it, you know. And maybe I think when I think about why they did it, why they jumped, I feel like there was just no avenue for expressing what trouble they were in. And that's just a horrible thing to realize, that you know you self-harm, you do those things to get attention, and sometimes it's too late, you know. And I wonder, what were they doing before that was the call for help, before they finally pulled the plug? So I feel like as I've been thinking about that, I keep having to come back to two things, which is having a good support system has made all the difference, and two, asking myself, like, really, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want to be able to tell stories. I want to have the experience, and however you choose to look at it, right? Housemanship, it's quite grueling, but it can be an incredibly rewarding experience if you try really hard to find your why, you know? I'm not sure if any of that really made sense, but to me, it's nice to know that I go into work every day and get closer to finishing housemanship and finishing a department and learning what I need to learn in this department, because I will come out of it competent. I will come out of it knowing what to do. And when I know what to do, I will encounter lots of patients and cases and troubleshoot and navigate through conditions in all the ways the textbook can teach you, right? Dealing with an individual is completely different, and that only comes with experience. And all of this experience is going to amount to words that I share on like my YouTube channel, words that I share on my blog, or words that will manifest somewhere, somehow, someday in a way that's useful for people who are in my situation, and not just for junior doctors, but I feel like anyone that's really sort of dabbling with what the am I supposed to do with my life, with my time. So I feel quite pleased that as I end my second department and go into my next, that I feel a little bit less anxious. And even though I know that there's still quite a long way to go, generally feeling a little bit less depressed about the whole thing, because I'm grateful enough to have a strong reason to do what I do every day, and that I have a good support system, and that I realize making an effort to connect with people at work, whether it's your colleagues or your patients, can have a remarkable impact on how satisfied you feel at the end of the day, no matter how tired you are. So, plus it also means that, you know, you take time for yourself to eat and sleep and enjoy yourself where you can. So it's nice to know that they weren't bullshitting me when they said it does get easier. So that's nice. I'm very hungry and I'm gonna have food now, but I hope that this ramble really felt more useful to me than it would for you, but maybe it brings up questions like what your why is, you know, and who your support system is, and what ways you can make work more enjoyable for you, because that really is in your control. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm sharing with you, leave me a comment if you have any questions, and I hope to see you guys again next week. Bye.